Hello, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you so much for watching. I'm here with Jennifer Strahan, right?
Hi, yes. Hi.
And we're going to talk about 3D printed houses. I have the opinion, I see many new technologies, and I often form the opinion, okay, that one's cool, that one's stupid. It doesn't mean the idea is stupid. It means that ultimately this is not really going to succeed. My view on 3D printed houses, like my view on quite a few other things, is nice idea, won't scale. Jennifer thinks I'm wrong. She thinks that 3D printed houses have a future, and we have a lot of fun conversations. So we're having a fun conversation. Jennifer's going to try to persuade me and you that 3D printed houses are the reality. She thinks she has evidence. We're going to dive in.
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
just before we start, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jennifer Strahan. You can find me on Twitter most days, and I'm sure Warren will drop my Twitter handle. And in spaces and stuff, I talk about Tesla and cannabis most of the time. I'm a home grower, which is legal in Virginia, and yeah, just hanging out with the Tesla crew most days. So, and looking up Tesla stuff.
And we were
And,
just
oh, and
talking.
I'm a Tesla investor.
And,
Yeah, I'm one of those. So we've decided in one of the spaces, you have the all stock, no car people, and the car, no stock people, and then the both. So I'm an all stock, no car people. I don't have a Tesla car yet.
those who follow me know I have 2 Teslas, and I have a disproportionate share of my portfolio in Tesla stock.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, as do I. So my stock portfolio was all in Tesla, but I previous to that was heavy invested in real estate, and I still am. We still have quite a bit of real estate. So, but yes.
And you just got to visit Austin, Texas for the Tesla Investor Day event. And you were at Clive all day, or did you get to go to inside the factory?
No, I was in Clive all day, but I did see a couple of people that went to the factory. There were only 275 people that were invited, and only 50 of them were retail investors. But I did see Rough Past. I saw him as he came in. We chatted and stuff. So, and he said it was pretty neat, And then I saw the twins, Amy and Juliana. I saw them, but they were like down. It was very busy. And I saw a lot of people really wanted to talk to them, and Farzad and Dave Lee was there, and Sandy Monroe and everybody. They just looked swarmed. So I was like, I'll see them later.
Yeah. For those who don't know, there's an event at a bar in Austin called Clive. It's a 3-story bar, and that's a place we've had events at previous Tesla. When there were previous Tesla events, Clive was a place people went, and they had basically an all-day event where you could watch the live stream live and otherwise hang out. And the event opened before, and the event went late, I assume, and people had a lot of fun. And there was a lot. It was filled with Tesla fans. Roughly
Oh
accurate?
yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, they rented out the whole building, or reserved it for us, and we had like specialty drinks and everything, and they had screens that you could see from all 3 floors. So it was really nice. Yeah, it was just a little warm. I think we weren't expecting that weather, but
It is Texas. Texas in early
yeah,
March. It's warm
it
here
was
in
great because the next day I could lay out at the pool. So I was really excited about that. I was like, oh yes, sunshine.
Yeah, it's I'm in Florida right now, and it's nice and warm, and I walk down the beach on my way to and from the gym today. But let's dive into 3D printed houses. So for the
Yes.
last 5 or 10 years, I would say, I've seen stories about 3D printed houses and how this is going to be the future of housing. And I'm not saying that it's bad if somebody wants to 3D print their own house, or somebody has a business to 3D print houses and people are willing to pay to have that done. I don't see how 3D printing houses scales. This is a thing, like we see this with a lot of startup companies, and Elon Musk has a saying, prototypes are easy, manufacturing is hard. So there may be prototype 3D devices that 3D print homes. It's not that the homes are prototypes. It's that the device that 3D prints the home is a prototype. And if you want to do it at scale, you want to build hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of homes or more. You're going to need a lot of these devices, and you have to be able to manufacture those devices at scale. And I keep seeing these stories about 3D printed homes are going to be the future. And then where's the neighborhood? Where's the 100 homes? Where's the 100 home neighborhood? Where's the 1,000 home neighborhood? Where's somebody who's building a lot of them? And I don't see it. So What's your take on this?
Where's the neighborhood? Warren, you practically set me up. I love it. The neighborhood's going to be next to Giga Texas, I'm pretty sure. So follow me here, right? Where to begin? Okay, so SpaceX is already 3D printing buildings. They have a 3D printed building at Boca Chica. And what is it called? Do I have the name of it here? No, it's an extension of the building that they have there. But I can tell you that they use the APIS core system, which is from a Russian company that won an award from NASA. So I sent you a news article about it. But they had won an award from NASA because to create housing on Mars, which we all know is very important to Elon, you have to have watertight housing. And the way that we construct, housing here, building here, is not watertight, but 3D concrete construction is. So that was very important. So they took that 3D printer and they made a 3D printed building at SpaceX. And there is a video as well, video link in that article that I had sent. So you have SpaceX has a 3D printed concrete building, right? Then you have Boring Company that makes this amazing sludge when they are boring that they were making the boring bricks out of that we heard about for a second. And they sold 200 boring bricks as like a promo and then they were gone. I was waiting for the boring brick, and I still am, to do my patio in the back because I really want boring bricks for a patio. But I have a feeling, you need like liquid concrete, basically, like that hasn't set yet to 3D print homes. And I'm like, oh, they could use the sludge from the Boring Company. Like this is sounding very interesting. If you have SpaceX that has a machine that can spray what Boring Company makes, this is all sounding a little more interesting. So then we get to, let's see, Icon, okay, is a company in Austin and they 3D print homes. Well, they just 3D printed recently a couple of ADUs for, that's accessory dwelling units for homeless people. And they're actually quite nice. So if you look at like ADUs that have been built in California, they always kind of look sad. They look like a shed that's been converted into like a little mini house and nobody is going to really want to live in them, However, the 3D printed ADUs, they're quite nice looking. But what's nice is Icon is an American company. It's not that Russian company. As we know, it's not a good look to work with Russia these days. So it's nice to know there's an American company. They're right there in Austin. And they did make a couple of higher end townhouses that they sold. There's 4 of them that they sold to the public in Austin as well. So, and they did a 2,700 square foot house, which is really gorgeous. There's a video of it on YouTube. And I have tweeted out a link of that. So you can see that and see that that house looks beautiful. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, how long does it take to make a 3D printed house? Well, you can print realistic. Okay, so 3D printed companies will claim that you can print a whole house in a day. Not really. You need a week, but that is much faster than traditional home building. So now why do I think Tesla is going to do this? Well, while I was in Austin, I was supposed to be looking at real estate for 2 investors because I have a lot of friends that are investors in real estate. They know that I am big in the landlording and rental space, and they wanted my opinion. I do run a landlord group of 23,000 landlords. I'm a 3rd generation landlord, so I was going to give them my professional opinion. And I took a look, and man, Austin is expensive. I mean, that market got hot. Yet Elon wants to hire another 20,000 people to work at the Gigafactory. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to live that he's not going to have to pay them a fortune unless he builds a neighborhood? And I started to think about it. And in Investor Day, that he did talk about heat pump. Heat pump was like the 3rd or 4th of the 5 points that were like the big broad points of how they're going to go to a sustainable future, right?
Yeah.
And before he got to that, I thought about it. And so I lived in Germany for 3 years. And in Germany, our homes were concrete. and it was just much more energy efficient. And I had kind of like a light bulb moment where I said, oh, maybe it's not only about making more energy, because detractors of a sustainable future, electric future, will say like, oh, well, the grid can't support this and you're going to crash the grid and all this other stuff. Well, what if we at the same time make more power and we also lessen our demand by becoming more energy efficient, significantly more energy efficient, by making more energy efficient homes? And then last night in Spaces, we were talking about heat pump and just about heat pumps in general. And heat pumps, they will move heat, so they can take heat like from outside, there's always heat in the air, and they can move it inside, but they can only bring the temperature up or down like a certain percentage, or a certain amount of degrees. If you really want to heat an area, say like in a very cold temperature, you're going to need a heat source. But if you take like the whole Tesla ecosystem, if you have a power wall and solar panels and a heat pump, well, then your power wall is going to produce heat because the solar panels will take in the energy. You will have heat that's being, produced, and then that heat can be moved by the heat pump. So they can have like a whole house system. They'll be able to showcase the Tesla solar roof, because Elon, I believe, did say that it's the retrofitting of the Tesla solar roof that's an issue, and that if they have the homes built for the roof, that it would be a lot easier, because it's not the tiles that are the issue, it's the installation that's the issue with the solar roof. So in like one fell swoop, Elon can make like an example neighborhood, right, of 100 so on homes where they can have a mega pack that's servicing this neighborhood where all of these homes are connected by auto bidder, which is distributing, the electricity in between the homes in real time, and they all can have power walls. They all can have their chargers for their Teslas. The beautiful Tesla roofs, the entire neighborhood, and he can show the world how we can have a sustainable future with this one neighborhood. It'd be amazing. And also he can solve his housing issue. There is a rumor in Austin from a prominent real estate agent, I don't want to name names, that there was land acquired by what they do believe is an LLC from Tesla, right by the Gigafactory, to do this, and that it is for a neighborhood of 110 homes. And there's also another rumor that Icon's next project is 110 homes.
Wait. No. So there is a 110 home project that is being built for the Boring Company called Project Amazing. Or at least that's the rumor I heard, but that is not 3D printed homes.
Are you sure?
No, it's a traditional, I mean, well, of course not. Of course I'm not sure. But
Right.
I believe the realtor you're talking about was quoted in the media about Project Amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you want my timestamps from Investor Day? So let me
No,
just,
no, I mean,
no. So listen, in the slides, because I went through the whole thing, in minute 37, he said, the slide says half the energy required. So this is, I think, a foreshadowing, a hint of we are going to have to become more energy efficient. And, so think about it. They did it with the cars, with the drag coefficients, and talking about, just needing less power by limiting weight and limiting drag. So why wouldn't they do that in housing? Where are our power draws? What are the issues? Some people died in Texas when the grid went down.
yeah.
And that was because of demand.
Yeah.
So
I had made a video probably 2 years ago saying that I thought Tesla might build housing. It wasn't 3D printed housing. And I do see the potential for Tesla to create everything that supports electricity in a house, the solar panels on the roof, the charger for the car, the power wall to back it up, and then the heat pump. And I go further with the heat pump. And I don't know to what extent this is possible, but you have the octo valve that, moves heat around, and they have this whole system's like, well, maybe instead of a refrigerator, you'd have a refrigerated room. And,
Yeah,
you know,
we were
maybe,
talking about this in Spaces last night. I mean, we get a little silly in the Spaces at night, but we also talk about really good stuff and kind of go back and forth. And that's what we were talking about. We got into the weeds about how Octavalve works and everything. And you're absolutely correct about using, because you can use it for heating and air conditioning, but also you're right. You could use it for refrigeration. I really think he could do a whole neighborhood. And then don't forget that he has Ad Astra, which was the school that he created for his children. Could they do another, like a larger version of Ad Astra for the school for this neighborhood and really make it this like utopian, like, look at we could do. Look at what we could do.
yeah, so as far as Tesla doing it, my sense is they haven't even hinted at building housing. They've hinted at a few things. I thought that Investor Day was a very clear hint that we will be selling heat pumps for homes soon, homes and businesses.
They
I thought,
said it. Yeah.
I think it, number one, if you look at the slide, and maybe if you look at the slide from Investor Day,
Mhm.
the amount of the amount of impact that we get from shifting to heat pumps
Mhm.
and the amount of investment required, it's like the biggest win. It's probably bigger
Mhm.
than any other thing that shifts us to sustainable energy. Is going to heat pumps was like
Right.
22% of and it was only like $0.3 trillion investment. So I could see Tesla saying the challenge for Tesla has always been, and this dates back to a Third Row Tesla podcast interview with Elon, is we have this great idea and we want to pursue it, but we don't have the engineering talent to follow through.
Mhm.
So, for example, the electric vertical takeoff and landing jet that Elon's
Mhm.
been talking about since the Iron Man 2 movie, if not before. Number one, the battery technology isn't there for that, but his problem is, there aren't enough engineers. There aren't enough great engineers to do everything that he wants to do. So he's got to work within the scope of the engineers that are out there. And having engineers work on heat pumps is one thing. Having hiring engineers to work on housing is a very high demand thing. And then for those if you're
But
interested,
I don't think it takes a lot of engineering for the housing because the engineering's done. I mean, housing's not, it's not going to take a whole lot to interrupt it because they're already doing the 3D printing printing and, to build a stick built house, takes longer than a 3D printed house. And the time constraints are not always in the construction. So it's in supply chain, which Tesla is very good at. I mean, they're better than anybody else with supply chain. So here are your bottlenecks. It's going to be permitting, supply chain, and sales. Okay. So because of how like they do, so a lot of builders and developers will use the type of loan where you have to sell so many units before you can open up other units. Bridge loans and stuff like that. So, or that are like in pieces. So if you're a very, very large company, you don't have to do that stuff. You can change that model. So you can speed up. So when you're talking about scaling and stuff like that, there's a lot of things that Tesla can do. They can remove a lot of these barriers that some of these other builders have. Because if you think about home building, at least in America, it's a lot of smaller builders. And then you have like H.H. Hunt, Ryan Homes. They're still not that big. And to finance building houses is a lot of money. They're not, ready to finance all of that. So, but Tesla essentially could the way that they do business. But with the 3D printed homes, if you think about it, okay, so we figured this out last night in the Spaces. You cannot build like our American homes that we have now and use heat pump and have them everywhere because our homes are not energy efficient enough. We can't continue with the type of building, at least our stick built construction, because they leak too much energy. So we have to have a more energy efficient build for heat pump.
I'm going to disagree with that, but I want to get back to this point about scale. The problem is that here's what we don't know about Icon and this Russian company that built the 3D printed of 3D print houses. We don't know how much it costs to make their 3D printer. And if they build a 3D printer that costs $1 billion and it prints 100 homes a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you
I feel
amortize.
like we do know the cost though, because I mean, Icon could be able to tell us the cost. And I mean, SpaceX did use, actually, I think the numbers might be in the, I don't have the article up, but I think how much they rented it for, because you can rent the 3D printer to print the house. Because I think
Yeah,
SpaceX
but
rented
you
it.
can rent the 3D printer, but the company that made the 3D printer
Mhm.
had a cost for building the device. And they may have a
Sure,
projected, this is what, if we built these, if we built a lot of these, this is what it costs. But when you build a one-off device, it
sure.
ends up costing a crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
prototype costs a lot. When you decide we're going to build 10 of them, we're going to build 100 of them, we're going to build 1,000 of them. Now, this is where the engineering comes in. This is
Mhm.
why, Tesla engineers get so involved, is like, okay, we
Mhm.
built this prototype and it cost us $100 million. If we're
Yeah.
going to do this at scale, we need these things to cost $5 million.
Mhm.
And so we need to engineer the heck out of this thing to get to the point where we can build these at scale. That's why, by the way, when you were in Texas, did you go into Bastrop and see the SpaceX and Boring Company facilities?
No, I
Oh,
didn't.
you missed a big one. Should have called me.
No, I mean, I'll be back. I have to bring Will coffee. I promised Will I would bring him coffee.
Okay. So, you know, Boring Company has a tunnel boring machine, or they have a few tunnel boring machines that they built, but they're one-offs.
Mhm.
Now they built a factory to start building tunnel boring machines, right? Because if you can build the tunnel boring machines at scale, and they're working on the the one that they're working on now is a certain class of machine that they're going for, but they actually have a design that they're going to do later for a
Mhm.
faster, more efficient machine than the one that they're building now. But the plan is to build 12 tunnel boring machines, one tunnel boring machine a month.
Mhm.
And that's a start towards getting to where you're building enough of them that you can do high volume tunneling. It's the same
Mhm.
thing with 3D printing houses. You build one machine and it takes a week to 3D print a house. You can 3D print 50 houses a year. Now that comes to a question. If they can print a house in a week, how many houses have they printed? They should have printed 50.
Well, I hear you. Well, you have to start somewhere. I mean, they start, you have to start with a prototype, and then you optimize and optimize and optimize. Tesla's fantastic with that, so they did it with the cars, and Boring Company is doing it with the boring machines. But for Mars, you have to figure out a solution for housing. You have to figure out construction that's going to work in that environment. And 3D printing is fantastic because you just have to send the order, like the software has to work with 3D printing. I mean, there is a little bit of labor still, and they do mention that in the Icon video, that you still have to do like plumbing and electrical and everything, but the labor is greatly reduced when you 3D print versus traditional construction, which is great because I'll tell you, so my sister and brother-in-law, they own a construction company, and the biggest issue with owning a construction company is labors, keeping people, finding like qualified people. There's a lot of drug and alcohol abuse in the industry. So there's a lot of people that either don't show up or show up intoxicated and you have to send them home. I mean, it's not all the time, but if you're in the industry, you know.
Yeah, see, in the legal industry, we don't bother sending them home.
Well, I mean,
We
it's a
just let
little
them keep
different. They're
going.
not using power tools. You might want them a little intoxicated.
Yeah, people go to jail, but it's no big deal.
So, but yeah. So I don't know, Warren. I mean, Tesla can scale anything, I think if anybody can do it, they can.
No, I 100% agree that if Elon said, hey, we need to build more houses. I mean, one of the problems is in a world on Earth with a
Mhm.
shrinking population in a lot of countries, we
Mhm.
actually don't have a huge need for more. Let's say Japan, they
Mhm.
don't have a need for more housing. They have to like figure out what to do with the houses that are unused. Now you have a place like Austin, Texas, and Florida, where I am,
Yeah.
where the population is growing fast and they need to build homes. But I don't think that's the game-changing problem facing Earth that Elon wants to devote resources to.
Well, he wants to do the heat pump, right?
Yeah,
And
but
I'm telling you that heat pump
I
does not work with our like traditional homes that we have right now. We have
I'm,
to change the way we
I'm
construct
going to bluntly
buildings.
disagree with you. They're suggesting shifting the entire world to heat pumps, and it's going to save 22% electricity. They
Yeah.
didn't say we're going to have to demolish every home and rebuild new homes.
No, no, no. You don't have to
And
demolish
you
them.
can.
We're gonna have to phase them out. We're gonna have to change the way we do things. So not demolish them, but at a certain point, buildings age out, you upgrade them, you know, stuff happens, you make new ones. New neighborhoods will be made in a different way. I'm almost sure of it.
You can buy heat pump systems for your home now.
You can, yes, but listen, I've been a landlord in very different climates, and I can tell you that in some climates you do not put a heat pump in. You'll put like a gas furnace, and then if you need like a second zone, you might do a heat pump for the second zone. So like here in Virginia, like my house is 4,500 square feet. We have a gas furnace plus air conditioner plus a heat pump for the second zone, and really we should have more than two zones. It's outrageous, but like, okay, even in North Carolina,
First
if you
world
get like
problems.
a big cold snap,
Yeah.
you know, tenants start calling, being all upset because they're like, well, my heat isn't working because I can't get it to heat past 65. Well, that's because it's 30 outside, you know?
Well, that's the heat pumps that you're talking about. I would say what's more likely to happen is Tesla's going to engineer their heat pumps to be more effective in low temperatures, and I think they've already done that with Model Y. I
Right,
mean
but you
that
could use even less because yes, we established this last night. Yes, it is possible to heat a home with a heat pump, and you can use heat strips and everything. Like you can do it, but you're going to use a lot of resources. You can use a lot of power, a lot of kilowatts, or you can become more energy efficient. And I'm telling you, it is a huge difference from living in Germany and living in a concrete property, and they're very nice. If you watch the icon video, they're gorgeous. You would not know it's a concrete built house. It's not what you're thinking it is. It doesn't look like a cement building at all. Um, but you know, we barely had to use our HVAC at all between the concrete construction and then also something called rolladen, which looks exactly like hurricane shutters. So imagine if you use the roll up hurricane shutters as like your blinds. And so the Germans use them to like heat and cool their houses, kind of. So during the day when the sun's up and it's summer, you'll put them down and you'll keep the house cold. And then when the sun goes down, you put them up. And yeah, it works really well. Nobody had air conditioning in Germany.
All right. I don't think we're going to end up agreeing on this issue.
No, we really won't because I am convinced that it's going to happen. But I think that this video is going to age really well. So we'll see.
All right, we'll find out. Is
Mhm.
there anything else you wanted to add in defense of 3D printed homes?
Let me check my notes. I made like a
Uh-oh.
whole,
Uh-oh,
you
she's
know,
ready. She's ready.
yeah. Well, Warren, you know you have to be prepared to come on your videos, you know, on your show.
I
So
never
let's see.
prepare.
I'm not surprised. Okay, so for the Investor Day presentation, I did mention the first slide, but then minute 39:50, that's where it shows that heat pump is third or fourth on his list. So heat pump's really important. Then minute 45, he says transitioning to heat pump is the only way to do it. I think I can't even read my handwriting. Oh, I hate when that happens. Oh, minute 47, he talks about hydrogen and decarbing metals and chemical refining processes, and that we use hydrogen in steel production and everything like that. That has to do with they are looking into how to change how we use gases in commercial application. Okay, so it was real quick. I was like, "Oh, you're sneaky," because you know how they like to just Easter egg things. And I was like, "Why are they talking about hydrogen? That's odd." But they talked about hydrogen and CO2 and everything, and I was like, "Oh, gases in commercial applications. You need gases to when you're spraying concrete." And I think they're working on their own 3D printer for concrete to spray the boring concrete. I think they're doing it. I think that minute 47 and 11 seconds in Investor Day is when we first find out about it, and we'll really find out in a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's it. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stay with my position. Your position is well stated,
Thank
and
you.
history will show who was correct and who was wrong. And in the meantime, thank you so much for coming on and joining me here for this conversation. Uh,
Thanks for having me. As
and
always, Warren, it was a pleasure.
a link to Jennifer's Twitter will be in the video description below. I'll put links to the resources that she mentioned, the icon video, and there was I think the Russian thing or the thing. There was an article
Yes.
that I think links to something else. So I'll put
Mhm.
links to all that in the description below. For everyone, please consider buying the t-shirts at elonbits.com. Check out my other videos. Please support me on the Locals platform on Patreon as a YouTube channel member, or now as a Twitter subscriber if you'd like to support me on Twitter. And otherwise, thanks everyone so much for watching.